Thank you.
Ready? I call this public meeting of the Eagle Mountain Saginaw Independent School District to order. Let the record show a quorum of board members is present and that this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. I call the meeting to order at 5 p.m. We do have we'll go right into oral reports. We do have a couple of people that want to come. Welcome again to everyone. We're glad you're all here. Our first, we have two speakers today. I'm going to read some instructions and then we will have you come up. So thank you for those of you that are coming to share your opinion. A few rules of order regarding the public comment portion of this meeting. According to board policy, each speaker has up to 5 minutes to speak. The speaker also may provide a written statement to the board to supplement his or her comments if desired. We will have our board secretary, Mr. Newcomb, keeping time tonight, and he will set the clock. You'll see the time, and you have 3 minutes, showing the time you have remaining. The board may respond with specific factual information or existing policy may be furnished in response to inquiries on a posted agenda item. Please note that to comply with FERPA laws on student privacy, you may not mention a student by name. And additionally, according to board policy, you may not make derogatory comments about any individual staff member, either by name or title. Should you need to file a complaint, you may do this through our formal grievance process outlined in the board policy. So our first speaker is Miss Brandy Wiley. You want to come up, Miss Wiley?
I'm going to break the rules. I hope that's okay. I'm going to talk about Kobe, who's the next speaker. So it would be really weird to not mention his name when he's going to speak next.
Sure, you can mention your own child.
Okay.
Yeah, you're fine.
I was like, yes. I'm going to have to rip up the whole speech.
You can mention anybody in your family, but let's make sure we get the timer up. There we go, and we'll reset it at 5.
Okay, thank you. Hello, my name is Brandy Wiley, and I am a mother to 3 Boswell High School students who all receive special education services. All have been in SPED programs from the age of 3 in this district. And I have my youngest, Kobe, with me tonight. He's the next speaker. We are here because we heard that Dr. Hughes made a concerning comment during a recent professional development session. And I stand here, admittedly, really uncomfortable to speak on the matter because I don't have proof of what she said. I don't have a recording and I don't have anything in writing. So that makes it a little awkward to speak on. But the stories that we've heard have been pretty convincing and have come from several sources. So I know this could be a case of miscommunication, 100%, or an improperly delivered sentiment. But being a parent and hearing this concerning information from so many, I feel like it's my duty to stand here tonight. I've heard that she spoke of students who need one-on-one para support that cannot be quickly faded, and indicated that those students should not be disturbing gen ed settings. Dr. Hughes and I have spent many hours conversing over the years, and I have been a member of the seemingly defunct Special Education Parent Advisory Committee for this district from its inception. In all of my conversations with Dr. Hughes over the years, she has always been a champion for inclusion, always. And she was the first person in this district to say to me that all kids are gen ed kids first. She's assisted me in many situations with my own children over the many years we've been here. And we have always worked together really, really well. So I'm hoping it's a miscommunication. I truly am. But with so many people speaking up about it, I feel like something was misconstrued somewhere. And so what I'm hoping is that maybe a clarified message can go out. The statement, as we know, defies the law and also what research states is best for students, both disabled and not. Every placement decision must be individualized and allow students to be with their non-disabled peers to the fullest extent possible. Every placement decision and supplementary service decision must be individualized And the entire art committee, which includes parents and at a certain age the student, must work together to create the IEP. The student is always the most important member of the team, and blanket statements about supplementary aids and services or placement don't follow the law or the spirit of the law. When Kobe was very young, and I knew a lot less than I know now, he was in a fully self-contained setting. With reflection, I realized that was not my vision for him or the future that I wanted. So with a lot of advocacy and a lot of baby steps, he slowly, very slowly, too slowly, was allowed opportunities to spend time with his general educational peers. The first time a child knocked on our door and asked if he could play because he was given the opportunity to know Kobe, I was brought to tears. That child's parent came over and told me how grateful she was for Kobe to be with her son. He had been profoundly impacted by their friendship. Kobe has required a lot of para support over the years, and when he entered Boswell, it became apparent his official placement would change. But such a drastic change took a lot of planning and coordination, and not everyone was as pleased as I was about that. But an assistant principal who was one of our champions said we would be a model for what is possible. She said we are pioneers. Kobe requires significant modifications to the curriculum and much support, supplementary aids and services if we want to get technical. He has them and he has blossomed in every way. He has learned more than he ever would have in a self-contained setting. He is learning socialization skills, academic skills, and his classmates and teachers are learning too. I'm standing here tonight, again, with zero proof of what was said in that professional development session. I do believe Dr. Hughes would be 100% delighted to hear about Kobe's success. And I think she would love to see it replicated across the district. I'm simply standing here to publicly share our story and how hearing such a story felt to us. And to say that if these stories that keep coming through to me are true, I hope new communication can be shared to clarify, to say it's not okay to ever believe having a student with high needs is ever a disturbance to a gen ed setting.
I'm so sorry, your time is up.
Okay, that's okay. I was just going to say I'm proud that Kobe is now able.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, Kobe? Thank you, Ms. Wiley. Kobe, do you need me to read the instructions again, or are you okay? Okay. You want me to read them again?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm glad that you're here tonight. A few rules of order regarding the public comment portion of this meeting. According to board policy, you have up to 5 minutes to speak. The speaker may also provide a written statement to the board to supplement your comments if you want to. We will have Mr. Newcomb keep time tonight, and he will hold up time cards showing the time you have remaining. The board may respond with specific factual information, or existing policy may be furnished in response to inquiries on a posted agenda item. But please note that to comply with FERPA laws on student privacy, you may not mention a student by name. Additionally, according to board policy, you may not make derogatory comments about any individual staff member, either by name or title. Should you need to file a complaint, you may do this through our formal grievance process outlined in the board policy. Okay?
Okay.
All right, you may begin.
Hello, my name is Kobe Wiley. I am in 10th grade. I'm at Boswell High School. I was in a structured classroom when I was little, and now I'm older. I don't get aggressive that much anymore, and I know a lot better now. Been finding new ways to get mad and not aggressive, and I have been getting better grades than my brother and sister. I'm not in the structured classroom anymore. Miss Freeman has been a great aid. I think she's been a perfect aid for me. I don't think there would be another aid for me. My aide helped me get out of the structured classroom, and another staff have helped me get out of the structured class as well. I want to stay in the gen ed setting because I think I'd learn more, and in a gen ed setting, I don't think I would learn in a structured classroom. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That concludes our oral presentations. So we'll move on to the board reports. And the first one we will do is the operations report. We have a quarterly demographic and housing analysis for the fourth quarter of 23 from Mr. Templeton.
Great.
Good evening, Board Vice President, members of the board. It is my pleasure to be with you tonight. This is our fourth quarter report. I'll touch on some of the economic conditions. Big picture, the DFW economy is doing very well. Unemployment rates are in that 3.5% range, which is basically fully employed. We're very fortunate. We continue to see job growth in the DFW region, which is also continuing to lead to population growth. In fact, DFW continues to be the #1 city in the country for new home construction. 42,500 is the annualized start rate. So again, #1 in population, #1 in homes being built. And when we look at some demographic trends for the Eagle Mountain School District specific, if we count the population within the boundary of the Eagle Mountain School District, the total population is right at 127,000 people. This is new information that we've garnered from the census data and the American Community Survey. Just some demographic highlights. The median age is 33.5. The largest generation by population is the millennials. So the millennials are your largest population group. That's your really young parents. It's also some that don't quite have kids yet. But the second largest is the Gen Z, which is some school age and college. The alpha is still growing. That's the really young one. So it's still got a few years before we'll see its maximum size. But overall, the school district is relatively young. When we look at the annualized housing rate for the DFW region, the annualized closing rate, you'll see the start rate has dropped down to about 46,000. You'll notice the closing rate is continuing to be at about 43,000. We're kind of holding into what I think we're going to continue to see between 40 to 43,000 single-family homes being built across the DFW region. The housing market is responding to the interest rates. You know, they went up just a little bit recently, not because the Fed raised them, it was a market adjustment. But overall, the interest rates are staying in that 6.5% to 7% range. And so the buyers are starting to get a little more used to that rate. We do think that the rate's going to go down a little bit toward the end of the year and into 2025. After the election, we think the interest rates are going to move back down into that 5% range. When we look at total home sales within the Eagle Mountain School District, you can see that drop that happened in 2022. That was primarily because of a shortage of lots. It was a lot supply issue that compressed or dropped that rate. And then you can see it bounce back a little bit in 2023. When we look at the average pricing, we're still seeing that average price for new homes is still well over $370,000. So a little bit of a softening in the new home price. The existing home price is still up. This is tied to a shortage of supply of existing homes. Because of that interest rate issue, not as many people are putting their homes on the market to sell because they don't want to lose that really low interest rate that they already have. Eagle Mountain Saginaw is ranked 5th in the DFW Metroplex based on annual closings of 1,838. The start rate is close to 2,000. So you can see the start rate's kind of moved back up a little bit. When we look at the data by quarter, we started 393 homes in the fourth quarter. We closed 279 homes in the fourth quarter. I do expect we're going to continue to see anywhere between 1,800, 1,900 new single-family homes closed. It's kind of the range I think will be in 2024. When we break it down by your elementary attendance zones, you can see the #1 most active is Hatley Elementary Zone, 595. The second most active is Comanche Springs, Bryson, 364. You have 5 elementary zones that are building more than 100 homes a year. So a very strong activity in 5 different zones. The other thing that we've not seen is a slowdown in development. So the developers are still going almost full speed. You wouldn't think there's been any change in the market based on what the bulldozers and the development activity is doing. We have 33 active subdivisions. We have groundwork underway on over 2,600 lots. So tremendous amount of new lots are coming to the school district. We delivered about 558 lots in the fourth quarter. Those areas with a red outline, those are areas where the new lots are coming. A couple of the highlights, North Point, that's 2,364 total lots, 88 homes under construction. They do have some inventory of finished vacant homes, about 123 in inventory. This is Lennar, is the primary builder there. These are in the $200,000 to $500,000 range. And you can see that satellite image from December, tremendous amount of new lots that are in development in North Point. Boutwell, which is near the Hatley Elementary School, it's 1,124 total lots, 114 homes under construction. This is D.R. Horton and Riverside Homes. These are in the $300,000 to $500,000 range. You can also see some of those areas where we have new lots that are being delivered in the Belt Mill zone as well. On the multifamily side, we've got 660 multifamily units under construction. You can see that really long, skinny purple section that's in the High Country Elementary Zone. Not High Country, that's on the far right side of the screen. That is single family for rent. And they pretty much have them all under construction at the same time. So it'll be delivering fairly quickly. We are seeing more and more single family for rent in most of our clients. So it is kind of a new multifamily trend that's kind of a response to the higher cost of single family housing, but yet there's folks that want a single family home. Well, this will be that type of product. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens over the next few months as they get those homes finished and we see what those homes produce in terms of students per home. We've got about 2,300 units that are in the planning stages. I just noticed that one in the Remington Point, the quarry down there, they have broken ground. So they are starting on that mixed use development that's just off of 820 down there, just in the Remington Point Elementary Zone. So we're still holding the projections for next year at 24,110, which is about a 2.1% growth rate. Again, based on what we're seeing with the single family construction and the multifamily, we should be looking at growth of about 650 students. I will say the changes that are happening in yields, it's not so much a change in yields as much as it is a change in what's happening with choice, with charter expansions. I'm now also seeing more and more school districts opening enrollment, and there's now more and more districts that are competing with each other. I work with Capel ISD. Capel ISD had me change their school zone finder to where it has now 2 different areas that they call limited open enrollment. And so it's not affecting you. This would affect like Louisville and Irving. And so those are the kind of changes that are happening in many of the areas that we work, where there's now not only increase in charter expansion in choice, but now there's even more choice amongst school districts. And so that's, the question is not so much about the yields of the new houses, but it's about how families are choosing to either go to charters, to homeschool, or to go to surrounding neighboring districts, because I'm seeing more and more of that taking place.
Doesn't White Settlement have that, the closest one to us?
They may. We don't work with White Settlement, but they certainly may have that.
I think they have open enrollment.
Yes, and so more and more districts are expanding and doing that, which then we will see the TEA transfer report on charter transfers and open enrollment. We'll be able to see that at the end of March. So end of March, we'll know what is the net result of the ins and outs of the transfer pattern. So based on about 1,800 to 1,900 new single-family homes, we should be looking at growth of about 650 students. It's certainly one we want to watch very closely. We'll look at it as we get the next quarter of housing data. The housing market does seem to be locking in at about 1,800 single-family homes for 2024, which should get you in that 6 to 650 range for enrollment growth.
So we got 358 this year out of the closed starts that you just mentioned, 2,000.
Yes.
So that ratio obviously is a lot different than what we've.
But it may not be that's where it may be that the loss of charter and choice So not so much the new coming in, but it's
Oh, I
this,
see.
this choice that's causing the factor to look odd. Because we're looking at net results versus we may have had X number of new students come in because of the housing. It's just now what happens with the charter expansions and choice.
Don't we know that number? Or is that the number you said we'd know in
We
March?
will know that number in about 3
We already
weeks.
know that.
We can track transfers out of the district.
Yeah.
The challenging one is students who never come. They go directly in at kindergarten, or move directly into this area and go directly to a charter. Those we can't track until this report comes out. So a question along the lines of what Mr. Newcomb said. So last year, we thought it was going to be about 650. It wasn't that number. We're looking at 659 this year. What level of confidence should we have in that? Because at this time, we're identifying what kind of staffing we need in order to prepare for those students.
Yeah.
And so are we looking at greater variability like this into the future, that we should see a swing of upwards to 300 students?
There definitely is more variance today than there was 3 or 4 years ago. And so, and again, as more and more districts create this expanded, limited transfer options, more choice, then the variance will be greater.
Do we attribute that, that difference, that variance from this year solely to that choice driven, or is there other things that we know now that
Well,
we didn't know at the time that we were setting those numbers?
You know, one of the things, there are so many pieces to the puzzle. When you have what we have happening with existing homes and not as much turnover of existing homes, so we don't get as much of that churn of new families moving into existing homes. So the existing home market is slowed, so we don't get as much turnover from new families coming in, taking advantage of existing home sales. So right now, the new home piece of the market is growing as a share of the total housing market. So the builders can offer some incentives and discounts to help buy down the interest rate. So then we could see some more and more home sales as a share become new home sales because of their ability to help with financing. That doesn't happen as much on existing homes that are for sale. Those homeowners don't typically have as much of an ability to buy down the interest rate for somebody to help stimulate total home sales.
So as you generated the 659, you took that into consideration?
We took
and
into
softened-
consideration the total number of home closings that, 18 to 1900 should generate this amount of growth.
And then you softened the churn as you describe it?
Mhm.
Okay, all right.
And then again, I think the variables that are making this more complicated than it was a few years ago is homeschool choice and a charter expansion, those things. When we look at the campus level, you're in pretty good shape at your elementary campuses. Next year, Lake Point's going to be right at capacity. You can see in 3 years, you've got 4 elementary schools that are right up on the capacity number. And in 2027, 28, Eagle Mountain Elementary would be at capacity. So a little bit of space there at your elementary campuses. At your middle schools, of course, Wayside is right, it's at capacity now. And you can see within 2 years, Prairie Vista would be at capacity, and Boswell High School will be it's at capacity now as well. And within 4 years, both Chisholm Trail and Boswell would be at capacity. I'll do key takeaways and be ready to answer any additional questions. This year's, we did see the start rate in the school district bounce back up to nearly 2,000 starts. So we did see the housing market bounce back. 2024, it is forecasted to see some improvements in demand. We're hopeful that the interest rates could ease toward the end of the year. Groundwork is currently underway on more than 2,500 lots in 6 different subdivisions. We've got multifamily construction that continues with over 660 multifamily units under construction and about 2,300 units in the planning stages. We do expect your enrollment could be at about 27.2, actually 26.7 in about 5 years, and about 30,000 students in 10 years. I'd be happy to answer any additional questions.
I have a couple on the 10-year forecast by elementary and then the district housing overview by elementary zone. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 7 elementary zones that show 0 growth and no future growth. They're Remington Point, Northbrook, High Country, Gilliland, Dozier, Chisholm Ridge. There's no chance for any growth there. So are your numbers just moving the grades forward? I don't want to go.
Well, that's where we look at the cohort patterns. So we look at those cohort patterns and the differences in the kindergarten and those other grade levels. So it's a function of looking at the cohort history and, allowing that to roll forward.
You think that those houses will sell and other first graders will move into
There could be some turn.
Saginaw?
So if we look at, Remington Point, for example,
Right.
and we look at the Remington Point zone, it does have some multifamily in the Remington Point zone. So the difference there is that chart is looking at single family, whereas Remington Point does have a little bit of multifamily.
You
growth.
mentioned that earlier, so I figured that may be where the additional kids were at
Yes.
Remington Point.
And then
Yeah, pick another one.
Gilliland.
Okay.
So Gilliland, you can see it drops a little bit. Yeah, I don't have it.
We got a school built for 700, we got 400 kids in it. Same with High Country. It's built for 758, we got 500 dropping down in the 400s.
Yeah.
So I think that's something we'll have to look at going forward for sure. When there's no growth there.
Those could be opportunities, for program adjustments
Yeah.
or things that you might do to,
And you can do the same thing with the middle schools, right?
well, the middle schools are a function of the elementaries growing up into the middle school. So we do use a feeder pattern approach where there's pure feeders or splits, and then we feed them up into the middle schools.
So we got Highland with 300 less kids and we're needing another middle school, Prairie Vista. I mean, there's some opportunities, I would think, there to refocus those campuses.
Mr. Newcomb, we've done this with Bob on our middle schools. So we looked at the new Wayside and how we would project moving the transition to middle school 7, and then how we alleviate Prairie Vista into Highland, going to the pure feeder patterns with the high school. So that'll all be segmented. So we looked out to like 2032, 2033 before, we balanced them, and that's when the next, something would have to happen. We'd need more classrooms.
So we can get to 2032 with our current,
With our bond program, yes.
Yeah, okay.
That's what we looked at as we looked at it today, but it's several different, it's not just like one large attendance swap, it's several little tweaks here and there as we move to those pure feeders. So we have
Okay.
looked at that. You mentioned Gilliland and High Country. Also, you got to take into account that south of Saginaw High School, you have that new mixed development coming in where we have middle school 7, I have middle school 8 in theory. So there's going to be an influx potentially of more students in that area. So just realize there is some growth eventually going to come into that area, depending on the economy.
So that's with middle school 7 and the Wayside expansion, correct? So with new Wayside and middle school 7? Because you said with, okay, so that's with both of those that helps alleviate.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you, Mr. Templeton. We
welcome.
appreciate it so much. Okay, I think we're ready for a construction update with Mr. Cleet Welch.
Okay, we'll start out with, let's do the first one. Start out with Eagle Mountain High School. Again, this site is progressing. You can kind of start to see more different type of color of texture of the soil. So that tells you that more landscaping is coming in. If you've driven by there, you notice there's some trees starting to collect up in the front and also in the ground. So they keep transporting them in. This is just a picture facing north. You can see a little bit more work just detailed on the gymnasium, which is in the bottom. Okay, this is more of a westerly, I know it says west, but really it's a westerly look at it. Gives you just a more look at the gymnasium, the Fine Arts Center, and a little bit more of the topsoil coming in. Now it's what I'd call true west. And then again, you see some of the topsoil coming in. And then looking from west to east, if you look closely at the pond, you can start to see some of the boulders, the stepstones there that have been put in place. And if you look real close underneath the suspension bridge there, they've started carving out the rock path through there. So they're working really fast on that, and kind of really, when I say fast, it's more precise because you've got boulders. It's kind of an artistic deal. So
Is there any parking on that side, Clete, other than what we see there? Is most of the parking over there on the east side?
there's really not much parking in there. That's really where our bus loop is dedicated.
Okay.
So we try to eliminate as much of that. We'll have some child nutrition would park in that area. And if you look, see the concrete that's it's gray between the pond and I would say that masonry wall. So that's the fire loop, the fire head. So that comes where the fire trucks can come around.
That's that loading dock back there, isn't it?
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. So really kind of could chain that in the back, not as a visitor's thing, and have the buses there to keep the traffic kind of away from those as best we can. Moving to the stadium, the one on the right, that is the concourse, has been poured on the visitor side, and they also are progressing with the masonry on the outbuildings and on the stadium. The one on the left, it has a lot of topsoil everywhere, so as of today, half that has already been poured on the concourse on the home side, and they're framing that up for a pour at the end of this week, so the underneath part of that home side will have been completed. You also notice the stone columns have already been completed also. This is moving to the field house. The picture on the left is one of the dressing rooms. So you have the flooring in place in that area. And then on the one on the right is the turf room with all the ductwork and things associated with that above the ceiling going in place. And you see some workers actually working on that on their lift. Some more really close ups of the field house. So the one on the right, that is the multi-purpose building. So you can see the subsoil there, then they've got the cover on it. So right now, as of today, they've got the base down and leveled out. So Hellas is mobilized with two groups. One of them will be working on this building. The other one is working on the auxiliary field. So they are prepping for the E layer. And the E layer, you have the crushed stone, you have the E layer, then you have the green turf. So they're working on that final grade on that project. Then they'll move to the other fields. And if you went back there, they've got the E layer has a mix of rubber and pea gravel. So they've got the pea gravel all laid out where it's getting the moisture. Everything's drying out on that. And let's see, the two left pictures are really just hallways showing the ceiling grid above the ceiling. The coach's office is on the far left, where you can see that they have the view into the multi-purpose room. Two pictures about tennis. So the one on the right has been poured. That is, it's framed up, but it's been poured since then. That is the main entrance to the tennis complex. And the one on the left shows just fencing, some masonry work, and then the metal cover to stay out of the sun during competition and so forth. So they've made good progress on that area. Talked a while ago just a little bit about the pond and some of the rocks. So this is underneath the sky bridge on the left, putting in the stonework. And the one on the right is it's an entrance. There's two entrances, but the main one into the building is on the top level. But if the campus wanted to allow the students in the morning to come to the lower level, they could come in there and go straight to that where you see the underneath the sky bridge. And they could go out to the courtyard and do for it, depending on how the campus manages that. But you can see it's pretty steep there, so it'll have different type of grades and ramps and things that. So it meets ADA compliance. All right, moving in the main buildings, got some stairwells. Stairwell 5, stairwell 2, 3 and 4. Basically, you've got wall tile on the left. In the middle, you've got the terrazzo put in the main stairwell in the center of the building. And it's been covered up to protect it. And then you have the fire petition installation on the right. Moving to the main part of the fine arts kind of cafeteria. The one on the left is another picture of the picture almost, it's not complete, it probably looks like it's about 80% complete of the wood installation on the walls for the Fine Arts Center. The one on the right is the above ceiling and the main hallway going from the cafeteria to, I would say, ag facility. The one on the right, okay, a lot of pictures of gyms here. So the one on the right is the, I believe it's the gymnastics has been painted. The framework on the left one, that is the main gym. So that is the metal framework in there. So there's no glass or any sound structure to cover up the, what I'd call the brightness coming in to that right now. So that will be put in the future.
Which way those windows face?
They face west. So they're either going to have the dark tint or you will, they're just an architectural deal where you're just actually, you see them from the outside, but there's no glare inside. Ooh, I guess one of the things, we wouldn't want somebody shooting a free throw or trying to catch a ball with the sun.
No, not at the west side.
That would not be a good outcome.
That's Jerry Jones.
Oh, there it is. Wow.
And I guess the bottom one there is just the main entrance. So they've got the curtain wall up, just I need to put the glass in. So what I would say again, in refreshing the top one, that's not a finished product. So we'll continue to work on that one. Some other things before I go into the timeline, just to touch on. Started pouring today, the carpet in the small lecture hall, and they're doing moisture test on the concrete so they can start putting VCT down hopefully this week. Some critical path things that we've talked about from day one is the 24-inch water line that's coming up from 287. So they are still on schedule to bring that in April. Why is that important? Because you need that for your life safety fire suppression system and also domestic water, but it's the fire suppression is what we need because we've got another source for the domestic. So we knew that was happening. We've been watching it, but that's still a critical path for that to occur. Things you're going to see is up in the front of the building, you're going to see the motor grader start giving the final grade on there. Hopefully by the end of the week, you'll see the lime stabilization mobilize, potentially start in the front. And on the far east side, if you've looked, you've seen the pipeline crew. They're probably at 40% complete, welding that together, put that in, move the pipeline over, then they can do the paving on the east side, down in Fleming Ranch. So, okay, so based on the things I just mentioned, here's some timelines that we're looking at. I would say right now they're all subject to your certificate of occupancy, either the furniture limited, whatever stage it's in. It's really all tied to your fire suppression. It's going to be the big thing. So the field house, we're looking at May 20th, start putting furniture in that. Staff, June 17th, turning that over. Again, just depends on how quickly we get that up. It could be, I don't see it being later. Hopefully it gets to move up. The main building, furniture starts June 10th. That's what that's scheduled. Move the administration in roughly the last week of June. And then the remaining staff moves in July the 8th.
So is that, with any of those move-ins, does that mean students can get in there at the same time? I mean, they can start utilizing those if that's when they go in?
Well, it depends on what stage we're at and what certificate we have. We'll have to have one for students. So we get one with furniture, okay, administrative, then sometimes you have a limited, you have staff, but no, like ones that can't bring their kids up to help them
right.
move.
Yeah.
So we just have to work with the fire marshal on that. But I would say that we would be shooting for the field house middle of June. Like to move them in.
And the city of Fort Worth is bringing that water line up. We're counting on them to hold to their schedule. It's the city, right?
It's a city, yeah, so.
Is that the one that's coming up, Business 287 there with all that?
Yes.
That's where that's coming?
That's
okay.
the city's component.
Yep.
So they are pressure testing 8,000 feet of it currently. So they pressure test it, make sure it's not leaking. They test the water, make sure it passes, and they do each section. So, as far as being put together, they're there. They just got to go through the steps now. So they bring it up to the intersection, and that's the water. We built a 12-inch line. We did that. We've done all our pressure testing on that. It just needs to tie together. So.
I guess as far as like parking lots or anything like that? I mean, I'm thinking about summer activities and kids and stuff like that. I'm thinking about band, and they start early. Is that I guess, is that the same as when the buildings would be as to when you could bring kids?
That'd be tied to
potentially
the building.
in
Probably
those
wouldn't be
parking
any
lots?
sooner because it goes into the life safety. Because you got to get your approaches done so your fire trucks can get in there, emergency, all those things you have to take into account. But once we turn it over, yes, we would love for them to be there.
Sure.
That'll-
Yeah, I just didn't know if, I figured that was probably tied to it, but since it was outside.
Any other questions about Eagle Mountain
Oh.
High School?
The road, and I say just as somebody who drives it, and I know people are, and I get asked the question a lot, it just as far as the road completion and all that timeline, kind of within what these timelines is,
Yes, it'll be completed before that.
before those, you're saying?
Yes. It's all around, if the plane's coming down, it's gonna land in April. So we're working to make sure that we get everything in place so it's a smooth landing as we can get it. But that is, we all need rain, but we really don't need rain right now in construction.
Amen to that.
Because that impacts everything, because it's all outside what we're talking about. And that gas pipeline's in the, it's down that creek bed, so, they had to bring in extra timbers to keep all the equipment and things like that, so, it hadn't rained in a while, it's down in that creek bed, so, but, I'm not nervous about it. I mean, I've been nervous, let me take it back, I've been nervous for 2 years, but this is what we were expecting for the most part, because the water is the key, and that hasn't changed. Well, I can move over to, we got some things for Wayside. Hunter, I've been talking, like to talk about Wayside?
Yeah, absolutely.
Give us a quick update on where we're at with that.
So TMP, our civil engineer, they've gone through a couple iterations of the drainage study, and that's been resubmitted back to the city. So they're now currently reviewing that. Traffic study, it's in the process of being completed within the next couple weeks here. And then that again will be submitted to the city of Saginaw. Construction documents, again, we're continually meeting with the architect, engineers, Pogue Construction, and we're working through all of the site logistics and current redesign of the building too. Some small things that the new TA guidelines have required us to increase science lab spaces, things of that nature, storm shelters. And so what you can see coming down the pipeline that we briefly talked about last month is that we'll be coming to you with a demolition package in April for consideration and for the hopes to start demo in May, early May. After that, we'll be coming to you in May for early grading permit. And so we look to start that as soon as possible once it gets approved. And then past that, coming to you for the full GMP package in June. And we'll start as soon as we can get it approved. So questions, comments there?
Questions, comments? It's exciting.
All right. And just a couple things will be coming to you. We'll give you a bond update next month, but also for your consideration, we'll bring it to you approval for playground resurfacing at 7 campuses and elementary gym floor replacements at 6 campuses. So, thank you.
Any questions or comments?
Real quick, I mean, I just know, and I know it's hard to see things going, but I think about with the bond and, especially with Wayside, hot topic thing. We just saw it's an overcrowded campus. So that when people would start seeing work happen would be in May, because it's everything's happening, right? We just got to deal with all the red tape and all that, the city, but that's probably when general public would actually see things happening, because we got to get permission and all that first.
And then every parent that drives a vehicle will know the day. it starts.
Absolutely.
Right. Yep.
Absolutely. It'd be even more fun to pick kids up at Wayside Middle School
Yes.
for a little bit.
We're working on trying to maximize that. It will be a challenge for 2 years. We're
Yep.
going to have to work with staff and parents, buses, just the community, the whole thing.
We're going to require kindness and grace, right? And patience.
Amen.
Must be patience.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Thank you, gentlemen, very much. Okay, we're going to go on to Education Services Report, and the first one is for Mr. Sean Bell. He's going to present the Eagle Mountain High School Marching Band uniforms.
Oh, We're going to march
They
in.
have show and tell, I hope. Maybe show and tell.
They've been out there going, oh, hope we get in before 5.
My apologies.
All right.
No.
Members of the board, Vice President Dr. Tolbert and Dr. Chadwell, we're excited to present, first preview, our Eagle Mountain High School uniform package, if you will. We have Miss Astrid Anga from Saginaw High School. She's a sophomore who will be, she's a member of the Color Guard now and will be a member of the Color Guard at Eagle Mountain High School next year. We have Mr. Connor Mount, who is a sophomore at Boswell High School currently, who will be at Eagle Mountain High School next year as a member of the Night Brigade. And bonus, his sister Emma, who's a second grader at Eagle Mountain Elementary, we said, hey, Emma, would you mind being a model for us tonight with the Spirit gear? So these are shirts that band members, guard members, et cetera, would wear when they're not wearing their formal tops. So we wanted to show these.
Clap for those.
Very nice.
We're
Very
excited.
nice.
These are custom, one-of-a-kind uniforms crafted by Fred J. Miller, our vendor that was awarded the bid. All of our bands in Eagle Mountain or Eagle Mountain Saginaw ISD wear Fred J. Miller, and they've proven to be a quality product for all of our groups. So we're very excited. So you want to turn back around and let the board see?
Be very exciting to see you all in the fall, marching and playing. It'll be great.
Do
Congratulations.
y'all like them?
They comfortable?
That's the only thing that matters.
Are they hot?
Connor was quick to tell me he likes this uniform better than his current uniform.
Oh, that away,
And
Connor.
I was so thrilled when I saw Mr. Bose walk in and I see it's a fine arts night and you're wearing the appropriate attire yourself.
Thank you.
A little glitz and glamour never hurt anybody. So anyway, we wanted to preview these. Thank you very much.
Very nice. Thank you,
very
Mr.
good.
Bell. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. That's all the reports we're going to do for now. We do need to start early for our closed session. We have several items to handle. So it is currently 5:47 PM on on February 26, 2024. The board will now recess for dinner and then reconvene in a closed meeting pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meeting Act. Texas Government Code Section 551.071 for the purpose of private consultation with the board's attorney regarding pending litigation, a settlement offer, or on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the district or board under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with the Open Meetings Act. Section 551.072 for the purpose of deliberating a purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property if deliberation in an open meeting would leave a detrimental effect on the possession of the board in negotiations with a third person. Section 551.074 for the purpose of deliberating the appointment, employment, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, or to hear a complaint or charge against an officer or employee unless the officer or employee who is the subject of the deliberation or hearing requests an open hearing. Section 551.076 for the purpose of deliberation regarding the deployment or specific occasions for implementation of security personnel or devices or security audits. And Section 551.0821 to discuss specific personal identifying information about a student. Good evening. This is a public meeting of the Board of Education of the Eagle Mountain Saginaw Independent School District. The board is reconvening this public meeting on February 26th at 7 p.m. and will now consider the subject set forth in the posted agenda. So welcome, everyone. We're glad to have you, and we are especially excited to have Eagle Mountain Elementary today to present our colors and a prayer, or a moment of silence, sorry. So, Mr. Beatty and your group.
Thank you, Dr. Chadwell, Board of Trustees. Thank you for this opportunity for members of our Eagle Mountain Elementary Student Council to lead in the opening of this meeting. As representatives of our school, our Student Council is committed to fostering positive change, promoting unity, and embodying the values of leadership and service. I've asked our students to talk about themselves tonight. They'll be introducing themselves.
My name is Luke Benton. I am in 5th grade. My parents are Brian and Lauren Benton. I am in Student Council, Choir, UIL, PACE, and Student Voice. I enjoy baseball, theater, church, reading books, anything science and STEM related, and building with Legos. I think what I love about my school is very safe and everyone is very friendly.
Done.
My name is Lucas Bose. I'm in 5th grade. My parents are William and Jennifer Bose. I'm a member of the Student Council, UIL, Choir, and PACE. In my free time, I enjoy playing basketball and football. I also enjoy watching Fightin' Texas Aggie sports, building Legos, science, and math. I think that the teachers are very nice and everyone is friendly at Eagle.
My name is Harper Malone. I'm in 5th grade. My parents are Rodney and Christy Malone. I am a member of the Student Council and Choir. My interests are softball, gymnastics, art, and I love dogs. And the thing I really like about EME is I love teachers and the principals, and the playgrounds are really fun.
Hello, my name is Lucy DeCourt. I'm in 5th grade. My parents are Anthony and Jennifer DeCourt. I'm a member of Student Council, PACE, and Choir. I enjoy competitive dancing, tumbling, and playing with animals. I think the school is very safe. Teachers and staff members are very kind, and the playgrounds are very fun.
Hello, my name is Elliot Broughton. I'm in 5th grade. My parents are Adam and Kelly Broughton. I'm a part of Student Council and Choir. In my spare time, I like to do competitive cheer, golf, art, writing, and playing outside. I like how protective the school is, and you can always count on somebody to be your friend.
Now join us in saying the pledges.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor
The Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Now join me for a moment of silence.
Thank you. I just want to recognize these student council members again. They did an amazing job in first opportunity to do some public speaking and introduce themselves. And so you did an amazing job, boys and girls. Thank you.
Yes, I agree, Mr. Beatty. Outstanding, our future leaders right there. So thank you so very much. Okay, we will continue now with communication. So we'll start with special recognitions. Mr. Sean Bell.
Good evening once again, Vice President Dr. Colbert, Dr. Chadwell, members of the board. It is my honor and privilege to recognize 3 outstanding, talented, hardworking, dedicated musicians who achieved the ultimate prize, if you will, in terms of individual Texas musician achievement, and that is by earning coveted positions in the All-State Band and the All-State Choirs this year. And this is the first time in history, first time since I've been here, that we have an all-stater from all 3 high schools represented, which is really exciting. So I would like to start, I'm going alphabetically by campus. First of all, Mr. James Smith, come on up, James. James is a junior at Boswell High School. He is the son of Wes and Lynn Smith, and I would ask Wes to stand, as well as Principal Ms. Nika Davis, who's here with us tonight, and Head Band Director at Boswell High School, Mr. Josh Stover. So congratulations, James. Next we have, I should say, my apologies, James was a member of the TMEA All-State Jazz Band 2, and he plays alto saxophone, flute, any other instruments? Clarinet, spoons? Multi-talented, love it, love it. From Chisholm Trail High School, we have an all-state choir member, Miss Riley Carver. Come on up, Riley. Riley is also a junior, and she is the daughter of Jonathan and Kimberly Carver. Miss Carver, would you stand? And her directors are Miss Megan Sisk and Miss Shelby Hill. They're both here with Principal Dr. Winston McCowan. Let's give them all a hand. Riley was a member of the TMEA All-State Treble Choir, and she sang Alto 1 this year. Finally, we have, for the 2nd year in a row, from Saginaw High School, Mr. Evan Danforth. Come on up, Evan. Evan is also a junior. There's a pattern here, right? 3 juniors.
Talented group.
He is the son of Ken and Melissa Danforth, and Miss Danforth is here with us here tonight, along with directors, Mr. Matt Pearson and Miss Jen Gibba. Would you all stand? And Miss Allison Holly, former assistant director at Saginaw High School, but you're going to find out what her new position is when we wrap this up, right? And Mr. Evan Danforth is a TMEA All-State 5A concert band percussionist and the principal. Dr. Cynthia Weber. She thought I forgot. Let's give them a hand. Again, this is a tremendous achievement, and we're very proud of you all, parents, and you for supporting, getting them to rehearsals, directors, all that you do, principals for all that you do. We say thank you. So thank you very much.
Mr. Bell, I want to just throw a little nugget in there just for perspective. The contest, he mentioned how prestigious this is and what an honor it is for them to be selected to that. But just so that you know, it's a contest that isn't just done in one audition. It's a series of auditions that last, 4 auditions over months. And when they start the process, it's well over 20,000 students across the state of Texas. And so to be selected to that, to the all-state choir or band or jazz band, we're talking about the top 1% in the state of Texas. So it is quite an honor, and all juniors, so you get to do it again next year, and you get to do it on your 3rd time. Nice job.
Absolutely.
Yes, congratulations. Congratulations to all of you. We're very proud of your accomplishments. Keep up the good work. And Mr. Bell, you're up again, I believe.
I am one more time. And that is, I have the distinct privilege and honor to introduce our inaugural Director of Bands at Eagle Mountain High School, Miss Allison Holly. Allison is a North Texas native. Allison is a North Texas native. She attended TCU, that's Texas Christian University, in case you didn't know that, where she earned her bachelor's degree in music education as a percussionist and her master's degree in instrumental conducting. Allison was a proud member of the Horned Frog Marching Band, as well as virtually all of the concert and symphonic instrumental ensembles while she was at TCU. She was fortunate to march in the Rose Bowl parade and game, perform at Carnegie Hall, and travel to Puerto Rico with her TCU instrumental groups. Allison has been a fixture at Saginaw High School for over a decade, where she student taught in 2009 and was hired as an assistant band director there in 2012. Allison's bands have earned consistent first divisions at UIL concert and sight reading contests over the years. And furthermore, students in her advanced placement music theory classes have consistently earned the scores of 3s, 4s, and 5s on their AP end of year exams. Allison also currently serves as TMEA Region 30 President, and she brings a wealth of experience to her new position, and we could not be more excited that the Night Brigade of Eagle Mountain High School will be under the direction of Miss Allison Holly.
Congratulations. Can I say something real quick, Ms. Holly? So, great. I value everything that you said and the accomplishments and everything. Coming from a musical family, that means something to me, even former coach, not just an athletic guy. But the most important thing to me in this position and all that is what that young man did there when you walked up and you walked away. That's the only thing that matters, really, as far as I'm concerned, is that somebody's sad that you're leaving. That means a heck of a lot. That means that, you know, it means a heck of a lot. That's what education's about. And when you leave and somebody's sad, that means you're doing it right.
Congratulations. So that concludes the fun parts of the meeting tonight. We will start on reports. We did not complete all our board reports at the 5 o'clock session. So we will start again, and we're going to start with the pre-kindergarten report from Miss Stacy DeHoyas. Thank you guys for coming.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Chadwell, leadership. That's so fun to be able to come in after all of that positive energy. So I think pre-kindergarten's fun too. So we'll just keep it rolling there. I'm here this evening to share with you the report on the expansion of the pre-kindergarten program to the full day programming. And so I've got some updates that I'd like to share. Of course, as we go through this, our work has been aligned to Aspire 2025, and now going into preparing for Aspire 2029, we'll maintain that goal and expectation for excellence in academics, and pre-kindergarten programs definitely support that. So our pre-K implementation timeline, we started having this conversation in 2020, 2021, when we took 2 classrooms to Elkins and opened those full day programs there. And moved on the next year with 9 campuses, 9 additional classrooms, at 5 campuses. And we did request a second waiver and to go ahead and continue that work. And in 2022-23, added 8 additional campuses. And in 23-24, we are now full day pre-kindergarten across the district, including at Hafley Development Center. So we have met our goal to have full day pre-K implementation across the district. So that's very exciting for us. Currently, we have 681 students enrolled in our pre-kindergarten program. I have a breakdown of the number of classrooms that are there. It does say 31 full-day classrooms. It is actually 32 full-day classrooms, so I apologize for that mistake, but it is 32 full-day classrooms across the district for students, so that's very exciting for us as well. We also have additional early childhood programs. We have a pre-kindergarten 3 program that is a half-day program, and it is at Hafley Development Center that is continuing to grow. We've also this year entered into a formal partnership with a community site that is a half-day program for the 3-year-olds as well. We are still working with that community site, and I'm excited to share that we have a teacher who will be teaching at that site coming soon. And so we're really excited about seeing what that partnership is going to look like going forward. Also, early childhood special education. We have 1 full-day classroom at Hafley, but all of our 4-year-old early childhood special education classrooms are full-day programs. So that did require some growth, and we've added 3 classrooms at Saginaw Elementary. So we're very excited about that as well. We have a full-day integrated program for students in early childhood special education. And of course, all of our children, whether on an IEP or not on an IEP, are served together and have the same opportunities to receive great instruction every day. So an integrated program, we do have it titled that way only because in Texas, if you are not eligible for pre-kindergarten, you cannot be in a pre-kindergarten classroom. So the integrated classroom allows us to be able to offer those full-day opportunities to all children. And so we do have that classroom operating as well. And then we have half-day early childhood special education programs that will continue to serve our youngest learners in the district as well. So looking forward to 2024, 2025 and program growth. Currently, we, based on current demographic numbers from the demographers, we're looking at adding 2 classrooms at Elizabeth Lopez Hatley and 1 pre-kindergarten classroom at Greenfield Elementary. And of course, we would bring additional information regarding needs for that, and with your approval, we would move forward on that going forward. We are required to complete a self-assessment, and that is really just an opportunity for us to reflect on our practices in our pre-kindergarten program. It has 8 quality components with 50 total strategies. So I've listed there those quality components that we're looking at. Our pre-kindergarten lead team, along with the support of a campus parent, was able to go through and look at our practices, compare them to what TEA says a high-quality pre-kindergarten program would offer. And I'm very happy to share that we met proficiency or above. You can have proficient or exemplary above that, but we did meet proficiency or exemplary in all of the categories that we're rated in. So additional considerations moving forward, of course, budgets for staffing, for additional classrooms and resources that we would need for those classrooms. Training, we have continued training for pre-kindergarten teachers and transportation as well is another consideration. We're currently offering the shuttle service for children who are not able to attend pre-kindergarten at their home campus. And so that is a service that would continue for the next, as we're going into the next school year. And of course, staffing resources as well, considerations. 150 hours are required in early childhood specific training for all of our teachers, and our district has a program that ensures that all of our teachers are meeting that requirement. So, and a lot of our teachers have already met that requirement. Actually, this year we'll have a whole group of them that will meet that requirement. So we're excited about that as well. And of course, we continue to attempt to maintain that ratio of 11 to 1 with a paraeducator in the classroom. That allows us to have 22 students in a class. We consider safety, there are considerations for safety for transportation for young children. And of course, we'll continue to monitor and reflect on our practices through that high quality pre-K self-assessment. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you for your continued support for our pre-kindergarten programs as we continue to grow year after year. Do you have any questions for me?
Questions, comments?
Who caught the 31 to the 32 thing? Was that one of us or not?
It was me.
Good for you. All right, good. Because
Yes.
I thought about counting those, but I didn't. I should have. They're always so accurate. Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
that-
Good job.
It was my mistake, but I also
Good
caught
job.
my mistake, so I
Good job.
For all your hard work, and please thank all your teachers and staff. I know how hard that work is, like every other class, but those, our real little ones, it's important for them to get a solid foundation so that they can continue to excel when they get to elementary and middle and high school, so, and into college. So please, thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
this
you for that.
report.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. So next, we have the adoption of instructional materials for Proclamation 2024 K-12 Science report from Mrs. Elizabeth Sanders.
Dr. Cadwell, Dr. Tolbert, and Board of Trustees, I am happy to be able to share with you this evening some details about Proclamation 2024 K-12 Science and the recommendations that our committee is making for the adoption of new instructional materials. In 2024-2025, we implement the state-adopted new TEKS for science in K through 12. And so with those come a new adoption and of instructional materials. I'd like to recognize the very hard work of our science coordinators, Teresa Brindley and Monica Padilla, who are in the audience, and then also Carla Dopp, our coordinator of instructional materials. They worked really hard to make sure we have an equitable and transparent process where stakeholders could be involved. Yes, they did a great job. We did evaluation and reviews from September of 2023 to January of 2024. The instructional materials review team consisted of K-12 science teachers, as well as educators in special education, bilingual education, English as a second language, emergent bilingual, and gifted and talented. So a good representation of staff members from across the district. We also had a community preview and feedback opportunity from January 3rd to January 10th. And from that process, we used rubrics to determine which science materials from recommended vendors met our unique instructional needs for a high-quality K-12 science program. And the vendors we are recommending are Savas Learning, and they are for K-12 science, and then also Accelerate Learning, which is STEM scopes for integrated physics and chemistry. Our recommendation for Savas is $1.9 million over the course of 8 years. And our recommendation for Accelerate Learning, Integrated Physics and Chemistry is $10,000 over the course of 4 years, paid out of our instructional materials allotment. Do you have any questions?
Any questions, comments? Thank you very much. We appreciate you. Okay, now we'll move to Mr. Charles Ramirez. He's going to give us a report on the district-wide intruder detection audit report findings.
Thank you, Dr. Tolbert, Dr. Chadwell, members of the board. Just going over intruder audits. As you're well aware, Texas School Safety Center is charged with conducting random intruder audits at our campuses. Within the last 45 days, an audit was conducted at one or more campuses, and one or more findings had been identified as a result. A corrective action plan is required for any finding, as well as a public report to the school board. This audit information will be used by EMS Police Department, campus administrators, district leadership to address any concerns and take immediate actions to be compliant with state requirements and district policies. And then earlier in your executive session, I went over the details. This report is just information only, so there's really no recommendation, but if you have any questions or concerns, I can surely answer.
Questions, comments? Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, and then our last report of the evening is finance. Mr. Rob Welch, please.
Dr. Tolbert, Dr. Chadwell, members of the board. Tonight, we are bringing an update on the 2024-2025 budget process as we work through one of the more challenging funding environments that we've seen in public education. But before we get into the next year, let me mention the current 2023-2024 fiscal year, where we are currently anticipating to utilize $10 million of fund balance, which would move us from 115 days in reserve down to about 90 days. So if we roll those current levels forward to the 2024-2025 year, here are some guiding assumption updates that are factors in the projection models. We've heard from our demographer who is projecting an enrollment increase of 659 students next year. We believe that that will translate to an average daily attendance of 600, which would be an estimated $4.5 million. Early indications from the Tarrant Appraisal District are projecting a moderate level of property value growth across the county. We do not have the initial number specific to EMS ISD at this time, but we do anticipate that we would be above the county average as we do continue to see new construction within the district. While the property values may impact the tax revenue levels for the district, it is important to understand that the school funding formula is an equalizing formula. If local tax revenues go up, state funding goes down to that same amount per student. On the flip side, if local tax revenue goes down, state funding will go up, but again, brings us back to that same amount per student. So the effect of property values going up on the general operating budget over recent years has been nil. And the impact of the property value decrease due to the increased homestead exemptions has been nil, as the basic allotment per student has remained the same. I realize that we are focusing on the general operating fund, but let me take a moment to capture that the decrease in our property value base from the homestead exemption increase impacts the district on the interest and sinking side, as it reduces the district's bonding capacity by about $20 million per year going forward. That adds up year over year over year. The state is not holding districts harmless for the debt approved by voters after September 1st, 2023, which adds an additional constraint in accommodating growth for the district. Moving back to the general operating fund, I mentioned earlier that the current year is projected to end with a 90-day fund balance. That means we will start off next year at 90 days. The fund balance is an important component of operating the district, as it funds the cash flow of the district throughout the year. While our monthly expenditures are distributed pretty evenly through the year, revenues come in from different sources at different times, and the fund balance allows us to operate without borrowing monies, as well as serve as our emergency fund for the unknown events, including storm damage and/or unfunded mandates that come about. So that 90 days is a 25-day decrease based on our current operational model that would move forward to next year as a structural deficit, with the following additional factors or considerations. Adding to the challenge, including the fact that the district will have completed the ESSER grant funding that was $2.7 million in the current year. And we have also been notified that the federal reimbursements for services under the SHARS program are expected to decrease $1.5 million from current levels. So our goal is to reach a budget model that holds a reduction to the 70-day level or higher. Other considerations that factor into the budget process is that EMS ISD is growing, and there comes a cost to that environment. We have to open new schools, and Eagle Mountain High School will be opening next year, which will impact the overall district budget for staffing, utilities, and supplies, equipment, and student travel, all of the non-payroll related costs. We anticipate that we will have additional bus routes that will cost an estimated $675,000. And then there's our property and casualty insurance, where we have already experienced an increase of over 300% in the last 4 years, as the premium has moved from $1.3 million to a large amount at $5.8 million per year. And I am still concerned that the market has not stabilized. The current policy was a $2 million increase over the prior year, and we may see that again. And so you can see here, we've listed that we're anticipating anywhere between 1 and 2 million, and I hope that that's within that range. The largest challenge of all is the pressure that all school districts are feeling in trying to operate on the same basic allotment amount as in 2019. This per student amount drives our total funding amount. Again, it doesn't matter how much property values go up or down. It's student attendance applied into the funding formula based on this allotted amount, currently set at $6,160. Districts have maneuvered through double-digit inflation and unfunded mandates to continue to provide services, dipping into fund balance as necessary. The legislature did not distribute the $4.5 billion appropriated for public education during the regular and 4 special sessions because a school finance bill was not allowed to proceed without including a voucher proposal. A proposal that was not sustainable in future years. On that note, our local rep, Charlie Guerin, voted against that voucher proposal in order to protect the viability of funding for public education in the future. As we progress with building next year's budget, we'll be taking steps to manage the district's budget through strategic reductions, which we will discuss in greater detail at our upcoming board workshop. It's scheduled for Monday, March 4th at 5:30 here at the EMS ISD Administration Building. If I can answer any questions or provide additional information, I'd be happy to do so. Otherwise, we have an upcoming budget workshop.
Excuse me, questions, comments? That took my breath away. Questions, comments? Thank you, Rob. We appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Okay, we'll proceed to agenda items now. Action items. Well, the first one is for Miss Kathleen Eckert. Consider approving the 23-24 submission of a class size waiver to TEA.
Good evening, Dr. Tolbert, Dr. Chadwell, members of the board. This month we have 7 campuses that are exceeding the 22-to-1 ratio in pre-K through 4th grade. And the district's requesting to do a waiver with TEA to exceed the 22-to-1 ratio for those classes.
Make a motion to approve the submission of the pre-kindergarten through 4th grade class size waivers as presented.
Second.
Is that Ron? Okay. So I have a motion by Tim, a second by Ron. Any discussion, comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Raise your hand. Anybody opposed? No? Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next action item is consider approving computer replacement for teacher laptop lease. Mr. Kirk Murdoch.
I make a motion to approve the computer replacement for teacher laptop lease for the 2024-2025 school year.
Second.
I have a motion by Tim, a second by Ron. Any discussion or comments? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you, Kirk.
Thank you. And our last action item for the evening is name an architect of record for the new agricultural science building. Mr. Hunter Lee.
Good evening, Dr. Tolbert, Dr. Chadwell, members of the board. I'm excited to announce that in order for us to begin design of the new agricultural science building, we do need to award an architect of record. Once this takes place, district personnel will begin taking tours to neighboring district ag facilities. From there, architect will take our comments from those tours and our programming needs and begin schematic design. From that point, we'll then massage those plans until we get the final construction documents. Construction is scheduled to begin in the spring of 2025. So with that being said, the recommendation is to approve VLK Architects as the architect of record for the new agricultural science building.
So move.
Second.
Is that you, Steve?
It was.
Okay, making sure. A motion made by Blake, second by Steve. Any questions or
I have
comments?
a question though.
Okay.
How many buildings like that are there around the area? Do you know?
That's a good question.
Has VLK built one before?
They have. They built Crowley. Crowley is kind of the basis of design.
And at Arlington too, right? Do they do
Arlington as well.
Okay.
They've had a hand in Katy. I can provide,
I just want to make sure,
Yeah.
because I think, doesn't Northwest have one? I've heard a lot of thing about theirs.
It was built, actually, back when I was there, it was built by SHW, or
Okay.
designed by SHW.
Isn't it a state of the art, or maybe it was then? or is
Well, it
not?
was then, I think it's still nice. I mean, my memory of it is, it's still a quality, really quality facility. It's very good.
that is one of the facilities we're looking at touring as well in this process.
What, do you know the latest one built? Ag building?
Boy, off the top of my head, no.
Maybe be okay with those.
It would be the Katy or the
sorry.
Arlington.
The Katy?
Katy
Austin?
or Arlington,
Okay.
I mean, last,
Hutto has a nice one too that I saw a few, not too
Yeah,
long ago.
okay.
Right
That was
outside of
it.
Austin.
That's all the questions I had.
Any other questions? Ms. Fleming? Okay. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
That concludes our agenda items for the evening. So now we'll go on to the consent agenda. Routine monthly report, sorry, I skipped. Moving on to routine monthly reports. Any questions or comments regarding those? Okay, and the next is to review the 2024 board planning calendar. Mr.
Yes,
Chadwell?
this is on page 169 of your packet. At the next board meeting, we'll continue with discussion of budgets. We have projects and bonding capacity, special programs report by the Educational Services Department. Under Human Resources, we have some staffing proposals and reports. Under Operations, Construction, the Gold Star Transportation update, and bond projects update. We also have under action items is act on election of members to the Regional 11 Board of Directors. Consider any campus staffing proposal. And if you'll notice, that's in the same meeting, and a lot of that's because it's been pushed back a little bit with our planning on staffing. We also act on joint election with Tarrant County, set special meeting to canvass the 24 school trustee election, which is no longer needed. So we'll be scratching that and bringing you a resolution to cancel the election. And then also approve renewal of agreement with Gold Star Transportation. So if there's any questions on any of those items, and then be happy to answer those at this time.
Any questions? Now we'll look at the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to
I
approve?
move we approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Steve made a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ron. So I have a motion by Steve, a second by Ron. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Motion carries 6-0. And so that completes all of that. I have a couple of things from board president's announcements. I guess it's vice president announcements. Thank you for bearing with me since this was the first time that I have done this for this board. Paige had to be out this evening, so we do miss her, but I appreciate your patience and helping me get through it. And also for the board members, some of us have not finished our TEA Learn. So there's a few of us that need to do a course of some kind. Cybersecurity, human trafficking, safety school. So those need to be done by April 1. So if you can do that in the next couple of weeks, a couple of months, that would be great. Wednesday is the elected officials dinner at Joe T's. So if you can make that, I think you got a note in your RSVP. So that's always a nice event at 6:30. And then Rob mentioned already the budget workshop on March 4th. And I know Jim has several other things. Tim, you're going to mention, are you going to mention all those things? So I believe that's all for this evening.
Thank you. Yes, and just a few items. I mentioned STEM Showcase this Thursday. Rob mentioned the budget workshop this next week. Also next week is the elementary open house. And on that same evening, we're being recognized by the Northeast Tarrant Chamber for a recognition for our work in this community. We were nominated by the city of Saginaw for that award of kind of a difference maker award. So that's actually a recognition that'll be going on that evening. Also want to mention that on April the 18th, we have our EMS-ISD Employee Awards Brunch, which last year was the first time it was here. We did it outside of the Discovery Labs. It was really, really nice. The building blocks the sun, at least at 9 o'clock in the morning. And so it was very, very nice. Just a few other items. I wanted to congratulate both Dr. Tolbert and also President Ring for their, how do you put this? Nobody's running against them.
Uncontested.
Uncontested, that's the term. Thank you, the uncontested election.
Thank you for the support.
Yeah, congratulations to them. And so again, we'll be bringing a resolution to cancel that election, and congratulations on another 3 years.
Thank you.
So well done.
Very excited.
Also, just mentioning of elections, we're in the middle of primary season. We're really encouraging people to vote, and those early voting is, of course, throughout this week. And the closest site to this location is at Tarrant County College. I went there on Sunday. I think we're outnumbered, my daughter and I were outnumbered by 6 people. I think they were there. And so voter turnout is really, really low, and we just have to remember every election is important. No matter what election it is, it's important that we do our civic duty. And I'll say this, that, you know, my 18-year-old, that's something I'm going to go with her to vote every time I can. And my son, if he was in the country right now, he would be voting as well there, because I just feel like it's something that important we do, especially with our young adults, our 18-year-olds. I believe it's a habit. I started voting when I was 18, and I've never stopped, and part of that was just an expectation from my family that that's something that you do. So I just say that publicly because I think that's something that we can really encourage to be a part of that democratic process very early, and it's something you do for the rest of your life. And a couple other things is that we're working on budget. As we know, that's been a busy part. And we know a lot of school districts are dealing with the deficit challenges that we have from not increasing the basic allotment. We have been doing a lot of work on that. And of course, the board workshop a week from now is being a critical part of moving forward as well. Last, I want to end with a positive. Dr. Barnes and I were at the Tarrant County Junior Livestock Show along with a number of people. We excused Dana Eldridge from being here tonight because I'll just say she was in the barns all day, so we said it's okay. But we had all of our teachers and our kids, and won a lot of great recognition. It was just really proud to see them and their family, but also the history. These are people who, in many cases, their parents were in FFA, they were in 4-H, and they've been doing this for their lives. They got up at 3:30 this morning. They were there at the barns at 5 o'clock. And just really a part of that culture that's really so strong, and so proud of that family lineage, but also just the success they have in raising animals and being a part of that, and really learning so much of the leadership of the FFA organization. So just wanted to kind of do a shout out for them. They're probably sleeping by now, I hope, because again, it's been a long day for them, but very proud of all their work. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President, we have a few more comments before we make the motion.
Okay.
I went to grassroots as far as talking about legislative. I thank you for coming. Blake and Ron were there, and I think they enjoyed the process as we chose the legislative priorities for TASB going forward. I have a TASB meeting this weekend, so I'll miss the elected officials reception, but it's a great one where it's called Governance Camp. It's where the kids leave from different districts. So it's an exciting time to go down and see what kids are doing all throughout the state. And now, seeing there's no further business to come before this board, I make a motion, we adjourn.
We have a motion?
Second.
Who made a motion?
I did.
Oh, we didn't hear. Oh, you made the motion. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Second by Tim. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Adjourned at
Nicely done.
7:40.